Parshas Vayikra Tavshin Pei Vav. Welcome back to our Nesivos Shalom share on the Parsha. As we get closer to Pesach, so of course the theme and the subject of our share gravitates toward more of a Yom Tov theme. And now that we are officially in Chodesh Nisan, Agit Chodesh, everybody. Today was Rosh Chodesh, so we're officially in Chodesh Nisan. So I wanted to continue a bit on the theme that we were speaking about last week, and specifically, what we were talking about was the amazing power and the hashpos of this month, what Chodesh Nisan could do, and what Chodesh Nisan really is. And I wanted to add something interesting that the Nesivos Shalom says. And Nesivos Shalom says that beginning today, these first 10 days of Chodesh Nisan are like the S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva. First 10 days of Chodesh Nisan says the S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva. Obviously, we're going to explain a little bit, we're going to elaborate. But he said, just like the S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, you have 10 days. So too, these 10 days, the first 10 days of Chodesh Nisan, are the same thing. What's the difference? The difference just being that the S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they are about Teshuvah Miyira. Tshuva Emas Hadin, Yira, that's one type of tshuva. But now, in Chodesh Nisan, we were on the other side of the year. Now, I always like to think of the year of like a mountain, you know. Time flies, but the first half of the year, from Tishrei through Adar, is like going up the hill. Then on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, like we hit the top of the hill, and now it's a straight down till Rosh Hashanah again. It just keeps flying by. So these last 6 months, now, in Chodesh, these first 10 days of the beginning of the last 6 months of the year, the last half a year, are Yemei Tshuva, Me'ahava. That's the difference. You have S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva in Tishrei, Yira, and you have S.S.S. Yemei Tshuva in Chodesh Nisan now, Tshuva Me'ahava. We know Tshuva Me'ahava is on a greater and even higher level than Tshuva Miyira. And the days of Geulas Mitzrayim, which we're coming to right now, when Geulas Mitzrayim is in the air, they are days where Hashem showed His great love for Bnei Yisrael. When there was a Geula, when Klal Yisrael went out of Mitzrayim, like we said last week, Hashem showed tremendous love for Klal Yisrael. And we mentioned last week that when Hashem decided that the time for Geula had arrived, out of the great love for Bnei Yisrael, Hashem did not look at anything that Bnei Yisrael may have been doing wrong at that time. So I just want to add that if we take this, what the Nesivos Shalom says, of these first 10 days of the Chodesh being about Tshuva Me'ahava, in a time, in a month of Ava, you can rest assured that if you make a determination that you want to improve and you want to do better, Hashem will take you at your word. Hashem will say, I'm accepting your Tshuva, and He's not going to look at everything else so carefully of things that you may have done, where you've been, what you think. You want to improve, you want to be better. That's what a father does when you have Tshuva Me'ahava, and that's what it's all about right now. So the Nesivos Shalom tells us that same Ahava comes around at this time every single year. The first 10 days of Nisan are for Tshuva, and then Nesivos Shalom adds that there are 4 more days after the first 10 days of the month there are 4 more days until Pesach, and those correspond to the 4 days after Yom Kippur until the Yontiv of Sukkot. And those total of 14 days lead us up to the holy night of the Seder, to the first night of Pesach. And Nesivos Shalom actually says some very, very important words, and something which really only big tzaddikim can say, only Nesivos Shalom could say. Nesivos Shalom says the following words about Leil Pesach. So we have 10 days where now we're going to try and improve ourselves, where we're going to do tshuva, and we're going to be better, and we're going to do things more b'kavana. We're going to be nicer to people. We're going to work on all those things for 10 days now. Then we have the 4 days, like between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, we have the 4 days from the 11th until Tesvav, until the Yontiv of Pesach, where those are like the days between Yom Kippur and Sukkot, and then we get to the Seder night. Says the Nesivos Shalom, on that night, on the Seder night, there are, he uses these words, Giluyim Nisgavim, unbelievable revelations, tremendous revelations on that night of the Seder, that, and he says, there are such great Giluyim Nisgavim that the human mind cannot even fathom the madrega of those things. So whatever that means, I'm not in that category of people like the Nesivos Shalom or these great tzaddikim who understood these things and actually felt these things, but we could definitely take them at their word and use it to our advantage. That from now until Pesach, and then especially on the night of the Seder, we have so much that we could accomplish. We have so much that we could do. The Koshen Samagid, Zechus Yogan Aleinu, says that every single year on Leil Pesach, every person literally has the chance to change their mazel from negative to positive. You could do that on the night of the Seder. And what a powerful statement. Imagine that you could change, you have the power to change it. Imagine it's in your hands when Pesach arrives to change your mazel, to totally change your life. You could be mevatel chas v'shalom a gezeira ra and turn it l'toiva. That's what the night of Pesach is all around. Sai b'ruchnius and sai b'gashmius. And listen to what is said over from, Nesivos Shalom says over from tzaddikim. He says a beautiful vart. And this is, those of you who are collecting Divrei Torah for Pesach night, this might be the first one. This might be the first thing you want to say by the Seder. If you look in any Haggadah, before the Manishtana, what does it say in the Haggadah? It says, the instructions of the Haggadah say the following. Kan haben shoya. Here, the son, before Manishtana, we know, right? Manishtana, they're starting from the youngest son. The son gets up to ask. Every Haggadah says this. I mean, I don't know about every single one, but it's Messiah. It says, Kan haben shoyel. Says in the Nesivos Shalom from Tzaddikim. Says, you know what that means? You could take that to mean not just that the son asks the Manishtana over here. Kan haben shoyel. It's telling us that when it comes to the night of Pesach, every one of us is a son, a child of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Right there at that point, Kan haben shoyel, you could ask for anything. If we use these days from Rosh Chodesh Nisan straight till Pesach to grow, to change, to do, to add a little more learning, add a little more chesed, whatever it is, to become different people by Pesach, Kan haben shoyel. It's such an auspicious, such a high and holy night, the Yontiv of Pesach. When it comes the night of Pesach, we, as Bonim L'Hashem Alekeichem, we are children of Hashem, no matter what we've done, no matter where we've been. It doesn't matter. That title never goes away. Bonim L'Hashem Alekeichem, you can ask for anything from Hashem. Kan haben shoyel. And this is where the child, every one of us who's a child of where you ben of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we can ask the Father for anything at this special time. But one thing we do need to understand, and Nesivos Shalom also is always very practical, and he tells us we need to understand that it's not magic. You don't show up, you don't rip into the driveway and come into the Seder and say, start asking for things. No one, who does that? If you have someone that you know is good, there's no one better, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, anyone who Baal B'tachon, right? Hashem comes through. There's no question. But you got to show up. You got to introduce yourself. You got to do something before Pesach. It's not magic. So that's the preparation, as we said, of these 10 days, the first 10 days of Chodesh Nisan, which correspond to the first 10 days of Tishrei, where we have the opportunity to do tshuva, and it's these 14 days before Pesach, which we use as days of thought, days of introspection, days of tshuva, where we make the moves to improve ourselves going forward. So we begin those days when, today was Chodesh Nisan, we begin those days right now. You want to be able to come to the Seder, you want to have the best opportunity to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to ask Hashem for anything. Kan haben shoel. We got to start preparing now. We got to use these 2 weeks before Pesach. Hashem is waiting for us. Hashem is calling out to us. We always say, every yontif we mention over here, that people here as our group, we try to make sure that we are not asleep at the wheel. You gotta be driving. You have to be active. You can't wake up after Pesach and realize that the tremendous yontif just passed you by. Hashem is calling out to us. I want you to be closer. This is actually the week of calling out. Vayikra el Moshe. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is calling out to Moshe Rabbeinu, and it's a lesson for every one of us. Hashem is calling out to us and telling us, I want you to be who you can be, what you can be. I want you to be a better person. But Hashem's calling out to us. But what's the calling out if we don't respond? The idea is that we need to respond, and we don't need to respond verbally and talk. It's okay to converse with HaKadosh Baruch Hu if you want. Maybe don't do it in public. People won't. People will think maybe you need a little help. That's the way it goes. But quietly, every person can have a conversation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem, I know I could have learned a little more. I could have been a little nicer. Could have done. And you know what? The next few days, I'm gonna learn an extra 10 minutes. I'm gonna open up halachas now till Pesach. I'm gonna learn a little bit about Hilchos Pesach. You'll see those small little things. You'll see how much you could accomplish. These are days of Bittul Chametz. Bittul Chametz, Chametz referred to as the Yetzer Hara. Every person in their own little way. You may not become Moshe Rabbeinu, you're not going to become overnight, whatever, but that's not what Hashem expects. Hashem expects small steps, increments. Make the move, go in the right direction. And if you use these days outright, every one of us is going to come to the night of the Seder, and we're going to come, you're going to make Kiddush, you're going to wash your hands, beautiful, and you're going to see the royalty and the gorgeous, how beautiful a Seder night is. You get the opportunity, Baruch Hashem, to sit there with your family and sometimes friends and people. It's a beautiful feeling. But you also have to know that we're warming up. We're going to come to those words, Kan haben shoel. And if you listen to this year, you're going to be ready. You're going to be ready because you prepared. You did what you had to for the next 2 weeks. I wish everyone a beautiful Shabbos. Use this week, next week, let's use our time. And Eretz Hashem, we're in the month of Geula. The world is shaking. There's so much going on in the world. It's leading up to Geula. Let's be those who are not asleep at the wheel. Let's be those who are running to be closer to Hashem before the Yontif of Pesach.